Newcastle fans, Eddie Howe's just finished his press conference. In all this cup final talk, we've still got crucial Premier League games to win. So in this video, we're going to be recapping the press conference, but also previewing West Ham away, which is a vital game in our hope for European football. And it all began with a Lewis Hall question. Lewis Hall's injury has ruled him out for the rest of the season. Eddie Howe went on to say the feeling in his ankle got to a point where it needed investigating. He had some swelling and we investigated it and got to where we are now. Now, my opinion, this is just poor man management, because look at his word in there. The feeling in his ankle got to a point where it needed investigating. Now, if I remember correctly, even before the Liverpool game, Lewis Hall was starting to have niggles in his ankles, so he should have been rested there and then. Speaking of Liverpool, they're the best at preempting injuries. They manage every player's workloads, and Arne Slot's come out recently and spoke about this. Arne Slot, in his press conference, came out and said, if you think injuries are luck or bad luck, then we've been lucky, but we've tried to prevent them from a certain way of working so that we don't have many injuries. I don't see that as luck. And this is why I always speak about the importance of a squad depth. Squad depth is crucial to your success and where you want to finish. Over the past few years, Liverpool have built their squad depth, so when they do rotate, their quality doesn't diminish as much as the likes of Newcastle United, who haven't signed anyone in the past 3 transfer windows. But aside from that, you've still got to manage your players. When a player's playing every single minute and the relentless energy that Lewis Hall plays with and the aggression and tenacity, he's going to be overworked. So surely there comes to a point where you think, yes, let's try and anticipate his injury. Just keep him out for a little bit, let him recover, let him refresh, and then we'll bring him back in. That's what management's all about. It's kind of like trying to foresee the future. I know he's not a future teller or anything like that, but you've got to try and anticipate and preempt these injuries, because ultimately this is where we get left to going into the back end of the season, where we've got a depleted squad, got a cup final to look forward to, but we've also got European football to try and qualify in. And then speaking about depleted squad, he also spoke about Anthony Gordon's red card and the decision not to appeal it. It's always a discussion point. We discuss it as a club and we just felt there wasn't significant grounds to appeal that. You reviewed the incident and there was no intention from Anthony to hurt anybody, but we didn't think it had any chance of being successful, which, you know what, I kind of understand. Now, probably sat with the lawyers and looked at this incident and said, is there a chance of us being successful? And the lawyers have probably been honest with them. There's absolutely no chance. This is all done by Anthony Gordon. He's only got himself to blame why he's missing the cup final. You can't put your hands on anybody. Despite it just being a push, it was more than just a push, if we're being completely honest. It was completely aggressive. So he's only got himself to blame. Now he's let his teammates down, he's let his fans down, but most importantly, he's let himself down. And it is a shame because he's one of our most important players. But look, this is an opportunity for somebody to step up. One door closes, another opens. So hopefully somebody can step up like Harvey Barnes, like Joe Linton, like Joe Willock in the cup final and do the business for us. But who else won't be in the cup final? It's Sven Botman. Sven Botman suffering another injury layoff. Eddie Howe went on to say, we've been trying to get him back to full fitness. He was very close to Brighton game, but the day before he felt something again in his knee. This week he's had the same amount of discomfort, so it looks like he will have to have an operation. He needs a small operation to clear out some fluid and then he should be fine again. We hope he should be back in about 8 weeks. I'm sorry, but 8 weeks is not a small operation. And I've seen a lot of stuff on social media saying Sven Botman's injury prone and he's a second coming of Jonathan Woodgate. Look, Sven Botman is an elite defender. I'm actually good friends with Sven Botman's agent and I'm going to spend a bit of time with him in April. So I'm actually really good friends with him and I reached out to him and look, Sven Botman is hurting. Nobody wants to be injured. Nobody chooses to be injured. And I don't see Sven Botman being injury prone. When you're injury prone, it's loads of little nagging injuries like a Callum Wilson. But he's had an ACL injury. You're going to be out for the best part of 8 to 9 months with an ACL injury. This is just an unfortunate injury coming at the wrong time. The timing just sucks because he could have given us a different option in the cup final. Maybe playing with a 5 at the back. Maybe starting 3 centre-backs together. And we've seen his class. He's proved that against Arsenal when he stepped in against Tottenham away. We look far more comfortable with Sven Botman at the back. But look, he's missing. He's probably going to be out for the rest of the season. That information I can probably bring to you once my friend gets back to us because he hasn't messaged us back. But I'll be able to ask him how long he's going to be out for. Will he be back for the rest of the season? But look, if it's getting close at the end of the season, why risk him? Why not just give him the full summer layoff as well? Let him recover fully going into next season. That's my opinion. But Who knows? He wants to play football. He wants to play for Newcastle United. So if he's fit to play, then he probably will want to play, in all honesty. Aside from all this, we do have games to win, and it's crucial that we do qualify for at least the Europa League football this season. So these Premier League games that are coming up are very important, and Eddie Howe speaks upon the importance of them. It's a huge game for us. We can't get distracted and lose focus on the Premier League, which I 100% agree with. All the talk will be on the game ahead. I see determination from the players to try and do well. West Ham is a tough place to go, and Graham Potter is a difficult manager to prepare games against, which I also agree with. So we're looking forward to the challenge. Look, it's absolutely crucial we qualify for at least the Europa League football in my season. 1, for revenue income from commercial revenue, and 2, for player recruitment. The higher you finish in the league, the better competitions you compete in, the better players you'll be able to attract. That's just natural. So we can't have another season without any European football, because if we do, that's just going to prolong our targets, our success for another 12 months, and we can't afford that. So West Ham is a huge game, and it's a difficult place to go because West Ham and Graham Potter brought up some form. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect from Graham Potter, even though it's difficult because he adapts his formation so much. He's tactically versatile and he's imposed to making alterations. Potter would adjust formations and setups depending on the opposition, yet the principle of his attacking and fluidity and philosophy in the game all remain the same. But Graham Potter has landed on a winning formula in the past 2 games. He's played with a 3 at the back, but what he did against Arsenal was more defensive minded, where he would sit in a low block, invite Arsenal on and look to counteract on the break, and they end up winning 1-0. Against Leicester was a lot more expressive. I expect something similar to the Leicester game rather than the Arsenal game. I expect them to try and go out and beat Newcastle and really take the game to Newcastle. But by doing that, this could actually fall in Newcastle's favour, because Newcastle are much better when the game's opened up. So getting back to Graham Potter's philosophy, Graham Potter prioritizes attractive possession-based football, even with players who aren't naturally comfortable receiving in tight areas or with the ball at the feet. Potter's teams are fluid and adaptable to focus on positional rotations, and that's how he creates overloads and catches you out. So he emphasizes on breaking lines, creating overloads, and using the ball effectively. So you'll often see centre-backs stepping into midfield. You'll often see midfielders receiving the ball deep to progress the play. It's all fluid, but with the purpose of creating overloads in every single department. And that's shown in the statistics, because West Ham's ball possession is greatly increased since Graham Potter took over Julian Lopetegui. When they're out of possession, Graham Potter's teams press aggressively from the front. They look to force you into negative touches and negative passes. This is a trigger for them to really be aggressive and try and win the ball back as high up the pitch in order to have a better chance of creating opportunities. So how can Newcastle go to West Ham and win? Well, it's not actually guaranteed that he does play with a back 3, because the most effective counter-attacking style against the back 3 is a 4-3-3 formation. That's what Newcastle play. That's why we had a good result away to Man United when they played a back 3. That's why we had a good result at home to Wolves when they played a back 3, even though we weren't great on the day. So the most counteractive and effective formation against the back 3 is a 4-3-3. So I wouldn't be surprised if Graham Potter reverted back to a back 4, because what a 4-3-3 does against the back 3, it allows you to have wide attacking play to exploit space behind the wing backs, whilst also maintaining a strong midfield presence and controlling the central areas. Because we all know Graham Potter's style is to play out from the back, moving the ball between the lines, and having that solid presence in midfield allows you to press aggressively against their build-up. So I'm a firm believer whoever wins the midfield battle wins this game. The 3 midfielders in a 4-3-3 can control the tempo of the game by winning the ball back early, but also dictating the play. And when we do receive the ball, we've got to use the width to our advantage, because the wingers in a 4-3-3 can stretch the pitch, creating space by pulling the wing backs out of their position, whilst also stretching the centre backs into wide areas, creating more space in central areas. What you also need to do is push your fullbacks high to create overloads in wide areas, because this will do one of 2 things. It will force their wing backs back, but it will also have their central backs going into wide areas, which ultimately creates space for Isak inside, but also takes away from their attacking threat. Newcastle did this brilliantly against both Man United and Wolves, like I mentioned earlier. So I know notoriously West Ham away isn't a good ground for Newcastle United, but luckily we do play a 4-3-3 system, so we might be able to beat them on systems alone rather than players in in form, because we all know our players aren't in form. And then thinking about this, going into the final, I would actually set up with the same team that I would in the final. We need to win this game for one reason. And the second reason, these players need to get into form. They need some sort of momentum. So if we can win at West Ham, that'll give us confidence going into the final. And you want players to be match sharp. So those players that haven't really played much football, the likes of Joe Willock or Harvey Barnes, they need to get match sharp, starting to tune in and get their reaction time a lot better. So this would be the starting 11. Probably, I think Eddie Howe's going to start with. I think Dubravka on goal. I think he had a great game against Brighton, pulled off some great saves, and he's probably put himself ahead of Nick Pope in the pecking order. Kieran Trippier at right back, because we need to play Tino Livramento at left back because Matt Targett's not going to do a job. So Trippier at right back, Shaw and Byrne at centre backs, because they're probably the only fit centre backs we've got. Tino Livramento at left back, we've seen him do a job there before. Sandro Tonali in the middle alongside Bruno and Joe Linton. I think these three are going to be the key to us either winning a West Ham or winning a cup final. These need to be absolutely on it. Murphy on the right, Isak up front. I would start Isak because qualifying for European football is just as important for the future of Newcastle United as winning a cup. And then Harvey Barnes on the left. Look, we brought in Harvey Barnes for next to 40 million. So there's a reason why we're spending that money on him. And it's down to him to show us now. He's really got to step up to the plate. We've never seen the Harvey Barnes that we're seeing at Leicester. Actually, when he first come, he was scoring a few goals, getting a few assists, but his form just dropped off absolutely. And he's had a few injuries, so I don't want to get him on him too much. But now is the time to set up. You're fit, you're healthy. Do what you do best, coming in on your right foot. You've got that explosive power just to strike the ball. He's actually got wonderful ball striking technique, and I want to see that from him. I really want to see him getting on the ball, trying to make things happen. I would rather my winger try and dribble and beat his man 10 times, fail 10 times, than not try it all. But look, that would be my starting 11. And you've heard what Eddie Howe's had to say on the injuries, the cup finals, West Ham, and you've heard what I've had to say. Now I want to hear what you have to say. Let us know in the comments below. Would you start with that 11, or is there anything else that I've missed out or you want to discuss? Let us know in the comments below. But until next time, I appreciate you all watching, and away the lads.